Hello everybody, this is thejonnymar and welcome back to my Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I'm showing you now the Pond of Happiness, and in this pond you can throw in rupees to upgrade your maximum supply of bombs and arrows. There's also a little room over here to the right which includes fairies if you bomb it open. You have to throw in 100 rupees in order to get an upgrade of 5 bombs or arrows, and you get to choose what you'd like. Now this tends to be somewhat of a tedious process because you have to keep throwing in rupees, and the first time you do it, you have to do 20 at a time. So you have to do it 5 times in order to get to 100. And you'll notice after you throw some in, you get a little message, your fortune, so to speak. And depending on what that fortune is, there are a couple different little things that happen on the island surrounding this pond. I never do it because it's not really anything worthwhile. So, because this is so tedious and I do want to upgrade my bombs and arrows, I'm going to show you here the first time what it looks like, and then I'm going to spend a couple minutes upgrading, and I will just fast forward and meet you back here once I'm done. So I want more bombs. So she increases my ability to hold bombs up to 15. And I will meet you back here in a little bit. Alright, and we're back. Now fortunately after the first time you can start throwing in 50 rupees at a time, so it doesn't take quite as long. It took me about 2 minutes there to max out with my money that I had. I'm going to swim up here to the north because there is a special item underneath the bridge over here to the left. And that special item is the third bottle. So this area looks much bigger than when you're coming at the bridge from the side. You would never expect this guy to be living under here. I love having as many bottles as possible. As I mentioned before, you can get up to 4. And so I like having a bunch of fairies in reserve, and then also, once the game goes on, I start to get potions. Now, if you watch Link swim here, I used to always be confused about whether he was swimming his arms and moving them side to side, or if he was opening his mouth up and down, kind of like a fish. I think it's his arms, but when I was younger, it kind of looked like a fish to me. Ugh. So our next destination is the last pendant, and to get there we need to climb up Death Mountain. First, let's dodge these enemies. You can run into this tree here to knock some apples down. They refill hearts. And if you slash this bush up here, you can drop down and see a great fairy. And if you remember way back to my first episode, there were those rooms when we were escaping with Princess Zelda that we couldn't get into, that had weak walls. Well, this is how you get into them. Push this grave, and we're back with rats, my mortal enemies. And if you open the center chest, bam, 300 rupees. The other chests have bombs and arrows in, which I'm at max capacity for now, so they aren't very helpful. And the pots have hearts underneath them. So you should remember the drill here. Just go forward. I will show you what happens when you push this left lever, if I can actually grab it. It's the wrong one, so all these enemies drop down, which is why I didn't do it before. Now, if you talk to this guy, he'll refill all your hearts, and somehow now he knows about the pendants. Head over here to the left, and we're going to grab a heart piece before we start going up the mountain. Just sprint into these balls, head down, and there's a heart piece. You couldn't access the Death Mountain without the Power Glove. So So that's kind of how they set it up to make you have to go through each of the dungeons in order. Now that changes dramatically once the game progresses, and you'll actually find a little bit later that you can do dungeons out of order, and I'm actually going to be doing that. At least for a couple. Ah! Oh, it's an old guy. I guess you can follow along with me. Don't want an enfeebled old man walking around in the dark. Well, I'm not looking for the golden power. I'm looking for a pendant for the Master Sword. I'm taking the most direct route here. So obviously if you want to explore, feel free to take all these side paths. They don't really lead to anything too awesome. Ah, daylight. And these little guys are annoying. If you hit them, they turn into little statues, and you can't actually kill them. They just keep reviving over time. Kind of look like a Goomba, if you ask me, when they're in their frozen state. Now this old guy apparently is just handing out magic mirrors, which is a very important item you're going to find in a little while. But he must see a lot in us to give us that. The Moon Pearl. So this guy, like most characters, will restore your health. Obviously I'm at full health, so I don't need that. We have to go through a couple little caves here, and then we'll start climbing the mountain. I have one particular item I'm going to grab before we start heading for the next dungeon. Ugh. And if you sprint here, you don't actually have to hold anything. He just goes then until you get to the top. That's nice. See these little ledges that you can jump down? Jump from this point. Go in the door. And since we have a new bottle, and I know there are fairies coming up, I'm going to get my bug catching net out. And up here we have another heart piece. And a tile. We have to find a way to the top of Spectacle Rock to get to the Tower of Hera. But first, let's catch a fairy. Catch it? Ooh. Thought I was gonna eat them all. Come on. Boomerang, thank you. Now these worm enemies, these things irritate me so much. They move so fast that you invariably get hit numerous times. Ugh. And unfortunately, the next dungeon is crawling with them. Ugh. Ooh. Almost fell off the ledge there. That would have been a lot of backtracking. Now then, we have to find a way on top of this rock here to the left. So come to the right and, we have this transporter. Whoa! What the heck? Suffering succotash, we're a wabbit. I guess we're in the Golden Land. And again, the Tower of Hera and the Moon Pearl are mentioned. So that is our next quest, to find the Tower of Hera and Moon Pearl. Use the magic mirror to transport back to the top of this rock. Grab the heart piece. And let's head into my least favorite dungeon in the game. Which they call Mountain Tower for some reason, even though it's referred to as the Tower of Hera. And this dungeon is my least favorite for a couple of reasons. Use your boomerang here to avoid all these enemies to grab the key. The first is the enemies themselves. We have the worms in here, and a lot of them. We have knights of the skeleton variety, the redhead ones, that if you swing at them and miss, they throw bones at you. We have these little dinosaur enemies that shoot fire across the screen. Ugh. And we have crystal orb enemies coming up. Now in this room we have these tiles again, and unfortunately we can't just bypass them by getting a key. We have to actually wait for all of them to come up for that door to open. So I like to dodge them. If you don't feel like running around like a fool, you can also use your sword to slash at them and break them apart before they hit you. I just like to dodge here and there. And work my way eventually over towards the door. This should be the last one. I'm gonna avoid all these enemies, hit the switch. And in here you have to use your lamp to light all of these pedestals. And by doing that, you access the big key. And now that we have the magic the magic mirror, we can actually use it to go back to the entrance immediately so we don't have to backtrack. So hit these switches. You do want it to be blue so the blue blocks are down. And here are the crystal orb enemies I was talking about. They take a lot of hits. And here's the second reason why I don't like this dungeon. You can fall through these pits, and then you have to backtrack. And a lot of the pits are actually above other pits, so that you'll end up falling 2 or 3 floors at once. Very annoying. Heart? Ugh. Oh well. You don't want to hit that star switch. That makes pits appear and disappear. Just dodge around all of these enemies and pits. Now hit the switch to make the blue blocks come up. And let's head upward. And now the worms start. Okay. Yeah, no. Alright, I got one. Dodge it. Ugh. Okay, well, keep going. Let's get the compass. If you talk to that tile there, Sahasrahla tells you that you need to get the moon pearl, which is the special item in this dungeon. Step on that tile and this pit appears here, drop into it, and then you can get the big chest which has the moon pearl. So now we shouldn't turn into a rabbit anymore when we go to the Golden Land. The next thing I'm going to show you before heading to the boss is a secret. So if you fall in this pit up here, you get yell after yell as you continually see fall downward, but you get some fairies. Nom nom. Alright, and now it's time for my least favorite boss in the game, and in many ways, the most difficult and frustrating boss, Moldorm. You have to slash this guy's tail 6 times. His movement is completely unpredictable. Ugh. And if you get knocked off the edge there and fall, he gets completely restored and you have to start all over. No. Okay. Come here. Okay. We're halfway, I think. I think I got him 3 times. There's 4. Whew. 2 more to go. Dodge. 5. And now he... Whoa! Now he moves super fast. Jeez. Ah! Oh! Whew! Oh, man. I almost never beat him on the first try. Thank goodness. Whew. Alright. So we've got our 3 pendants. So now we have to go get the Master Sword, which is in the Lost Woods. But I am going to take a break because I am super excited that I'm past this part, which is my least favorite part in the game. So I'm going to save, and I will see you in my next episode. Thanks for watching. See you next time.